jealous of everyone in town having animal companions, and he weasels his way into getting a dog, despite being the world's worst pet owner. Now, there was that one episode where... Oh, I guess that kinda justifies it. While the Season 6 opener clearly laid out the kinds of conflicts that could be caused by the untrained magic energy behind Poop's emotions, the Season 9 opener goes for something similar by having magic...
What's wrong with my camera?
Run amok in Dimsdale, after Timmy forgets to give Sparky his magic flea powder. But this never gets brought up again. This pet is almost framed as another responsibility for Timmy, similar to his fairy brother, but that's countered by his main joke being a dog that acts like a human.
You're my new owner? That makes you number 84. You want to see the other 83? That's Barbara and Don. They moved away in the middle of the night. This is Celeste. This is Celeste.
Sparky is what people remember Scrappy-Doo being, getting others into trouble or swooping in to save the day and adding nothing new to the established dynamics. Some of the only times he made me laugh are the off-color jokes where he's implied to have had a previous life as a criminal, robbing banks or staging uprisings. The writing team overlapped with Tough Puppies, which cornered the market on dumb dog jokes, so I guess they were forced to think outside the box. They had to appease the furry community somehow, and Big Bad Wolf Boop was not going to cut it.
Hey, Timmy, can you help me bury this bone and this bag of evidence? I know what you're thinking, but they're unrelated.
I'll also give the art team credit for Sparky's design. The yellow and orange palette complements the main settings and other main characters. He can be cute while remaining dorky, and I love how his body distorts when he flies. Early drawings show that Sparky was originally going to fly by spinning his tail in the air, just like a certain iconic video game character. Dog Timmy from Breaking the Rules. I love seeing his final round of concepts, because I can tell they went with this one, because I want to see who traumatized him. I feel that Sparky's anthropomorphic gags would work better if he was silent, letting his facial expression shine, but then you'd have two mute characters that do almost nothing.
Come on, boy! Fetch the wands! That's not a wand! That's Wanda!
While not the biggest fan of his Rick Moranis-inspired voice, I do think it's cool that the fairy's voiced by a trans woman, Maddie Taylor, who transitioned in 2016. I wonder if I'll see trans Sparky icons on Twitter next Pride Month.
Sparky would hit the singers and, hey, I know a guy down in Mexico. I'll be right back. I'll see you on page 13. Come back, Billy, get over the last 2 pages. All right, Timmy, I've got a getaway car. Let's go.
That's right. One of his definitive traits was disappearing for large chunks of the runtime. I guess it's a decent workaround for not being able to bring a mutt to a location like the school, but it's demoting the character to gag status, which make up the bulk of his relationships. Sparky feels like a one-off in his first appearance, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone expected him to never appear again. He's got a few funny lines here and there, but the assertion that this is the future of Bob drags it down. Applying his absentee tendencies to the entire season and leaning into his shady side might have allowed the dog
I need to get a bit
of
of marker.
Oh,
shit.
Crime or mob-themed story. They missed their
I just need to grab something real
Breaking
quick.
Bad parody.
I'm sorry.
If Sam and Cat could do it, so could they. I like the idea of fairy pets in concept, but the
I grabbed two.
magic is less of a secret.
I grabbed apricot, which I probably shouldn't have because it's not a very good skin color.
So he doesn't get any disturbing designs.
What do you say, Chet? Let's go report the news!
There's no internal logic for who can see and understand him. Sparky still bums around with Timmy in stories where his fairies are taken away. Mr. Crocker tries to steal him multiple times, and Dad eventually
So this
starts
was
questioning
just
why
as bad.
Sparky didn't talk at all.
I love you too, Sparky.
No, you just had some orange chicken on your cheek.
Oh, you just talk?
No.
Okay.
All the inconsistencies that began in Season 7 have been amplified, having the humor drive the story, a shrunken cast, and fairies appearing in plain sight. AJ's last speaking appearance has him give exposition about smartphones right before the human SpongeBob jump scare. Later in the season, AJ appears as a glorified background character voiced by a sound-alike, but I don't really count that.
I got bit
Hi.
by ticks and I miss eating. Me too! I'm starving! I'm silly!
Butch Hartman addressed this complaint on his YouTube channel about 5 years back.
And not that Chester and AJ were boring characters, they weren't boring, but they became a little less fun to write for than some of the other characters.
I think it's disappointing that the writers left so much of the
Thank
cast
you.
behind instead of finding new angles for them. What really confuses me is how instead of having Trixie, random incidentals or one-offs took over the role of Timmy's love interest. You're taking away characters that help ground Timmy in the non-magic world by having things he didn't, like book smarts or street smarts.
Keep thinking that maybe, just maybe, we forgot something.
Bring it on, Wiley.
Why have so few kids in your show about kid empowerment? The extended cast characters made Dimsdale more relatable to the target audience, and they've been replaced by disposable extras, many of which now resemble crew members. Why else would these 5th graders have dyed hair and flannel shirts? This is the last season to feature any writers from the original run, and 7
I
new
do that way
characters
too
were
long.
brought in. Although there wasn't a clear difference in quality between them, we do get the return of characters that appeared after season 6, like Mr. Turner's boss, Ed Ludley, and the Planet of the Dads, cementing this era as having something of a second generation of cast members.
Cool. Me
I don't
too.
have too many new things to say about Cosmo, Wanda, and Pooh's portrayals, especially since they have shockingly few spotlight episodes.
I'm a songwriter, not a magical fairy. Treasure! Do you like a hot nuclear reactor?
For super casual viewers that inexplicably didn't catch a ton of pre-revival reruns, show them the Chester and AJ-centric The Big Scoop, and they barely recognize anyone. This breed of fans were probably very confused when Truant Officer Shallowgrave, the Tooth Fairy, or Remy Bucksaplenty returned. The faces of Remy's parents are shown for the first time, and I'm so glad that they chose to humanize these terrible people, fundamentally misunderstanding this storytelling choice. They don't even use this as a chance to turn them into interesting characters. That's just how they appear.
I hope it's okay we brought Timmy. I know you didn't hit him with your limo.
But you can if you want.
Maybe later.
Stuff like that makes the season feel engineered to grab attention from longtime fans. There's a few forced episodes about early 2010s technology and culture. With big Futurama, let's cover what happened while we were canceled, so the topics are super outdated by the time they air vibes. But titles like Finding Emo and Crock Blocked, how can I not give these a watch? Then most of these turn out to be boring and unfunny, or retreads of older premises.
Well, Timmy, I hope you
That's without the bright on. I don't know. I think my phone sucks now.
We do get a successful character
My
spotlight
markers don't
on
work.
Mom
My
Dolores,
phone camera
Fairy Old
sucks.
Parent, where Poof is assigned to be her
My
fairy
stomach
godmother.
hurts. My eyesight's getting bad.
Special, but I like this
Everyone
one
loved
quite a
to
bit.
start
The premise
playing.
of the baby's magic being powerful enough to support a god person and assigning him to the most miserable old person in town instead of a kid shows development for Poof and kind of keeps the lore in mind.
But you know what I wish for most of all? To spend more time with Denzel. What am I doing here?
Instead of zeroing in on Denzel trying to catch Poof around his house, there's an overall theme of motherhood. Dolores actually cares about spending time with her son, but is just as demanding as him when given power. I enjoyed how realistic it is for a kid like Timmy to naively not understand the complexities of this parental relationship.
I don't understand. I thought Mr. Crocker made you miserable.
Miserable? He's my son, and I love him. I'm just sad because he doesn't love me back.
Poof's mom is worried sick about him being on his own in enemy territory. So we get a fun Timmy and Wanda beef fight, where she fails to be a rebel, as the pair desperately try to break the rules together.
Wanda! I'm taking her out, Timmy! I am not going back to jail with you.
If Mrs. Crocker needs to make more than a handful of appearances per season, I'm glad there was a genuine attempt to flesh her out beyond a punchline. Sure beats 2 separate episodes about Denzel trying to hypnotize Sparky.
Oh, I love spending time with you, Denzel. Right back at you, Mother. We should do this every day. Stop smothering me, you pushy old bat.
The best part has to be the reminder that composer Guy Moon also scored back at the barnyard.
Hey, folks, viewer mail time again.
Pig is truly the most powerful Fairly Odd Parents character.
Are you telling me he's the chosen one? This whole time? It wasn't me?
What? You saw the cave drawing too?
Speaking of the score, I don't blame Moon for occasionally recycling some background tracks 12 years into production, but it's more blatant than ever. The memorable intro instrumental from School's Out the Musical is dropped into the climax of Fairly Odd Pet, which has bothered me since day one.
And water? I don't know. These are alcohol markers.
Finding Emo and Dustbusters use the same music for their title cards. They are sister episodes. If an episode didn't have a frustrating runner that softened an emotional moment or abrupt straight beat, that was good enough for me. I'm talking about Cosmo repeating the same joke in lieu of a subplot or the fairy's magic wands being lost, which shouldn't be a problem because
I guess I could just dip it in alcohol, see what happens. But these ones are expensive.
I can't. My magic tail doesn't work when it's wet.
I tended to gravitate towards the stuff that felt the most character-driven, like weirdos on a train. Crocker and Dad make a deal to take out each other's enemies. So Mr. Turner steals Timmy's fishbowl, but Mr. Crocker accidentally befriends Dinkelberg. It loosely rewrites their established relationship, but it's a rare case where the of pairing two funny characters together actually taps into a new well of comedy, sometimes questionable comedy.
They'll tase you, bro.
Turning to Turner was my favorite for managing to evolve its strange premise, where Timmy believes that Crocker is his future self, who has mutated his DNA with Timmy's and his own mother's. It's complemented by a fun subplot about Cosmo taking a driver's test. Yet another banger episode about Timmy being turned into a girl. Kinda.
I'm a monster with a pink hat. Huh, guess the pink hat is genetic.
I will admit that every once in a while there was a joke that absolutely killed me with how it was delivered. Can you blame me for having low expectations going into segments like the aforementioned Finding Emo? Some of the show's nastiest gags ever are in these.
So this is what happens when you mix whites with colors.
What?
Cosmo's reaction to Wanda body swapping with Sparky is also screwed up.
Oh no! Our wands don't recognize us now that our brains are switched!
Our names just got super interesting.
Every segment has at least one or two solid gags like that, but they're surrounded by so many dumb/random/repeated jokes.
Everybody, Tractor! Time to call the chiropractor. He's gonna crack the doctor. He's a doctor to you.
Oh shit, my computer's turned off. The lid. Everything's going wrong.
The 9 in Season 9 also happens to be an indicator of how many half-hour specials there are. We get our first anthologies with trios of horror like Scary Stories and fairy tales revolving around the characters. They're surprisingly dull despite some unique character combinations. And there's also a parody of the Twilight Zone's Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, where Dad is tortured by a plane full of dinklebirds. Probably the funniest thing this season just for how ridiculous it becomes.
Nothing like
Here
watching
they
a
are.
good disaster movie on a plane.
I'm king of the world. Oh no, the ship's hit a Dinkelberg.
In The Fast and the Furious, Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda travel back in time to meet some of their old godchildren, and Timmy accidentally causes an apocalyptic future. It's another mishmash of plots done better ages ago, rehashing jokes about time paradoxes, or a villain named Megan Bacon. It's complete with slow pacing and a tension-free atmosphere, making it the quintessential Season 9 episode. Sparky is in top form, though.
I gotta watch my cholesterol. You got any turkey bacon?
Turkey bacon's not real bacon!
I gotta stop her. Oh, I know. I'll just wait till her diet kills her.
The very beginning definitely deserved to be aired as the season finale. Timmy's fairies must figure out who sabotaged Cosmo's fairy diploma, looking through flashbacks of their time at the Fairy Academy where Cosmo and Wanda now met. I'm sick of every educational magical setting being Hogwarts, and there's yet another soft retcon, but it's a cute reminder of Cosmo's thoughtful side.
Too long. Tantrum.
Man's Worst Friend, the season capper in production order, introduces Anti-Sparky, who is Australian instead of British.
Time for you to feel the burn without the cardiovascular benefits.
I decided to embed screen caps in my notes for this season, and despite watching this twice, this one image and caption have been far more impactful to me. I really want to know the story behind Scary God Couple, the Foop and Vicky team-up episode. Why were there 4 directors, more than any 44-minute special? Why does it take so long to separate Timmy from his fairies to set up the main conflict? Why is there so much dialogue and standing around in a story
Here's
about
my
a fight
black.
between 2 magical parties?
Where are we
Vicky
gonna
getting
go?
powered up by magic should be a huge deal. And I like that we get to see Timmy affected by someone else's world-altering wishes again. But I just thought this was
This
the
is
most
purple.
tedious 22 of the season.
Here it is.
Season 9 marked Fop's permanent jump to high definition. Shots were still framed to work in 4:3, which is the most obvious whenever we see Timmy's TV. The line work in the intro is a little thinner, but with the exception of a few random shots, the transition is almost seamless elsewhere. I did catch a few errors, like the wrong models for the Anti-Hero Council being used, and a line obviously being cut for time because Timmy figures out what to do here way too fast.
How can I make it up to them? I have a better idea.
Some of these issues bled into Season 10, like this part that was sped up to fit into the middle of a song. It's weird to see such a retro and flat style animated in such high quality, especially with flatter directing that contains more lackluster compositions and fewer ambitious flourishes. Although shots like the crop duster falling apart and fairly odd heads still look great. Adding to the cheapness is how much time is spent in the Turner house. I've never seen Timmy's room from so many different perspectives.
We've got to do it from different angles, again and again. and again and again and again.
Characters will pop into his bedroom window, or Chet You Betcha will deliver lots of exposition on the TV. It feels like stories were staged like a sitcom would, concentrated around a central location where Timmy's dad or dog can always pop in for a quick joke. Kind of feels counterintuitive to the concept that Mr. and Mrs. Turner were absentee parents, since we see them hanging with Timmy so often. It doesn't surprise me that some of the new writers have worked in TV for decades on shows like Saved by the Bell and Wings. No wonder the cast feels like an ensemble now, where we follow adult characters more than usual.
Mr. Crocker's driving me crazy. At least he's finally gone.
Sleep tight, Turner.
The small scale was at its worst in the episode that I liked the least from this run. Desperate Without Housewives. Honorable mention goes to Let Sleeper Dogs Lie, where it's revealed that Sparky was originally Mr. Crocker's fairy dog back when he had Cosmo and Wanda. There's plenty of visual and story contradictions involving how Crocker lost his fairies that retcon his big origin. It even starts with Denzel casually finding video evidence of his old fairies. Not too bad on its own, I just don't know how it's able to reference classic episodes without feeling like the current crew watched them.
I like to keep records of all my former owners for tax reasons and alibis.
Going back to Desperate Without Housewives, the dudes wish for a day without any woman, and we're already off to a bad start. Not only have those classic gender stereotypes return with a vengeance, but the characters don't even get to leave the house and let the premise expand. Poof also disappears after a few minutes, and it's very much a "you're not in this episode" type deal. You're lucky to get one joke with Poof per segment. In fact, there's a handful of episodes where either he or Sparky are entirely absent. The dynamics are slightly more focused when there's fewer characters that need attention. But this doesn't drastically improve the writing and storytelling. I think Poof is supposed to be at elementary school when he isn't around, as confirmed by a season 10 episode where he returns home. Ignore how the animation here looks, we'll get to that. He actually goes through puberty in School of Croc, another special where Crocker ends up teaching at elementary school. Once again, it's too bloated, the action isn't exciting, the shiny teeth and me instrumental plays during another party, and somehow I completely forgot that Poof and Poop call for a truce.
Once again, sorry I tried to annihilate you repeatedly. A lot. In fact, every time I saw you.
Maybe I would have remembered that better if Poop didn't act exactly the same afterwards. Only now, he just goes after Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda. From this point on, he's a bigger part of the series than Poof is. A more notable status quo change is how Poof starts speaking in full sentences. Unfortunately, sounding like Timmy with a sore throat is not a personality.
And Timmy, buddy, I love you. But
I
you
had-
can't lose a pink head.
As for Sparky just being gone sometimes,
I
got nothing. It should have been
I
acknowledged
had no
somehow.
idea
Thanks
Poof.
for bringing me someone new to play with every season. I had a magic dog. Where'd it go? Sparky?
I hadn't.
Sparky!
Season 9 clocks in at 26 half hours. I think that's the root of its problems. It took me about a week to get through each season, and this one was the most exhausting. Felt my soul leave my body a little more.
I had no
with every
idea
episode.
Poof
The
spoke.
crew decreed 50 to 11-minute
And I
segments.
thought he
Their
never
biggest
spoke. I thought that was his
order
whole character. He
ever,
doesn't
long
speak.
production cut that followed their shortest order
When the hell did they change
It
that?
was easy to fill 9 installments with specials. It was easy to reuse older concepts or music. It was easy to fall back on writing for the funniest characters or old habits. It was easy to retcon lore rather than expand on it. It was easy to take away main cast members, then rethink their dynamics. It was easy to make a season like this, and I don't entirely blame the crew. SpongeBob's quality significantly went down as the quantity went up a few years prior, so I'm not surprised. There's a couple of episodes I recommend, but even the best of the best don't hold a candle to most of season 5 or even 6. Rest in peace, Talking Dog. I liked you the most when you wore cute outfits and also didn't talk. Somehow I might also soldier.
First problem fixed.
Never say fixed to dog, Timmy.
Then the series was canceled again, with no more Happy Sundays on the horizon.
Here's my wife.
On June 22nd, 2015, the Fairly Odd Parents was renewed for a 10th season. Here we go, we're in the home stretch. Don't look at how much more of the runtime is left. Oh cool, I can play acoustic music in this segment. By 2011, live-action cartoon adaptations with CGI characters were not only dominating kids' film, but also kids' TV. 2 of Cartoon Network's highest-rated broadcasts ever were for Ben 10, Race Against Time, and Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins. Elsewhere in the late 2000s, Nickelodeon began to collaborate with Scott McKay Boys Pacific Bay Entertainment to produce original TV movies starring the channel's sitcom stars. They collaborated for a decade on cinematic marvels like Best Player, Swindle, and Jinxed. I watched all of these when they premiered. From this came 3 Fairly Odd movies written by Butch Hartman and a few series writers that were directed by Savage Steve Holland.
I'm a savage.
This trilogy premiered
Burning
during or
Bathroom.
in between seasons 7, 8, and 9, so I'm covering them all here. While the first film helped pull me into FOP, the final film is what killed my interest in the franchise. When Butch Hartman says, "I created your childhood," I think this is what he's referring to.
Coming soon.
I wish I was Drake.
To celebrate the show's 10th anniversary, we traveled 13 years into the future. As Timmy turns 23, he still lives with his parents and attends Mr. Crocker's class, remaining mentally to maintain his very godparents. But there's a hot new girl in town, and it's Tony. Timmy's in love, and now that Crocker has teamed up with an evil oil tycoon, who I get mixed up with the evil oil tycoon from the 2011 Muppets movie, Timmy may lose his fairies forever. The premise is cheesy, but this is the only installment in the trilogy to actually feel like a movie. The stakes are clear, there's a 3-act structure, and callbacks to show emotional growth. The set design feels faithfully adapted. I dig the show-accurate exteriors, and the costumes have an appropriate 50s vibe, like this kid with a Jughead hat.
Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird.
There's cameos by Chompy the Goat, Dolores, Chester, and AJ. The latter pair are just here to insult Timmy and be horny. Instead of feeling like a betrayal of their characters, it reads more like a cautionary tale of how friendships can deteriorate over time. Asshole Chester and AJ are Pig Chester and AJ.
Jealous?
Darren Norris delightfully reprises his role.
Jealous?
Darren Norris delightfully reprises his role as Timmy's dad.
Ooh, they need unskilled workers at their new dynamite factory.
Jason Alexander and Cheryl Hines are good picks for a human Cosmo and Wanda, even though they're glorified cameos.
Don't worry, Wanda. You'll always have me.
David Lewis steals the show as Mr. Crocker, absolutely nailing the voice and mannerisms.
I'll show that Timmy Turner that I now have possession of his
I was surprised that I liked some of this casting and characterization. Now for some negatives. I didn't like some of this casting and characterization. Drake Bell as Timmy Turner has aged poorly, not just because this actor is surrounded by an entourage of grade schoolers and ends the film driving around in a van, but also because his performance is too charismatic to feel like a Timmy who's supposed to have not changed in the past 13 years.
I wish that we could help rebuild the park around the Dimsdale Dogwood.
Nice wish. I mean, because, you know, it's not a wish for yourself. You don't really hear wishes like that every day.
I kind of like the idea that Danielle Amadeus Tootie feels like a completely different person after having matured. According to this iTunes poster, these movies star her. It's just that now Tootie is a flawless environmentalist girl boss without any clear chemistry towards Timmy.
Grow up, Timmy Turner!
Oh wait, give me 1 second. Just gotta paste this in here. Wait for this to download. Just let it download. Just let it download. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, cool, it's done. We'll just drop this in here. Move that over here. Alright, cool, it's done. We'll just behind.
Cosmo, we gotta stop her before she breaks up our family.
It just feels out of character for the trio, Wanda in particular, to be actively plotting against Timmy to keep him from falling in love.
Hey! You knocked him out of the tree! Nice!
Wasn't my plan, but I'll take it.
The visual effects were handled by the Animation Picture Company and Wonder World Studios. And the CGI barely looks like an upgrade from the Jimmy Neutron crossovers. Regardless of the animation quality, the fairies don't feel real. They're undisguised out in the open very often, and their placement looks like an afterthought, especially when their movements are repeated or they cut to reaction shots in front of a blurred background. These look like they were made for social media gift sets to promote animated movies.
Damn. Thank you.
Guilt is right, Cosmo.
I always thought that the fairies were supposed to have shell proportions in the cartoon, but I guess they're less off-putting next to real people when they're Tinkerbell size. This does make it harder to buy that Jorgen is a fairy when he's just above human. He gives an over-the-top performance alongside Vicky, but both end up yelling all their lines.
Well, look who it is trashing my daycare. The biggest twerp in Dimsdale, Timmy Turner.
Icky Vicky.
Despite the fan service, there's some surprising exclusions. Why is there no acknowledgement that Vicky and Tootie are sisters? Why wasn't the generic oil magnate with more screen time than Crocker Doug Dimmadome? Was the crew too afraid to bring his hat to reality? What footage am I supposed to use to make an AMV now? Why is there a Stan Lee-like Butch Hartman cameo? Oh, wait. Most rebroadcasts of this movie are trimmed down from 57 to 47 minutes, where all Chester, AJ, and Vicky's scenes are absent. This removes the scene where Vicky accidentally falls in love with Jorgen. Sorry, shippers.
Mama's just got you a one-way ticket to Kippy Town.
Oh boy.
In my personal favorite edit, Mr. Crocker falls into a bottomless ball pit and is never seen again. There is an epilogue where he lands at the Turner house while Mom and Dad are celebrating their son finally leaving home. But if you never caught the extended version, you never saw this.
Everything ends at Turner's.
Not only did the 47-minute edition remove quite a few scenes that support the theme and smooth over some transitions, but it gave a generation of children ball pit-related nightmares. So safe to say, it's the inferior version. In order to stop the power-mad oil magnate from draining the magic from the captured fairies, Timmy grows up and confesses his love to Tootie. Moving the villain's power while also breaking the rules, causing the godparents to go away forever. It's similar to Abracatastrophe's climax, and in both cases it's quickly undone. But while that special used multiple callbacks to reunite Timmy with his godparents, Timmy and Tootie are summoned to the Fairy Council, where a new rule is written into Da Rules, the Timmy Turner loophole, which allows the man-child to keep his fairies forever, as long as he uses them for unselfish purposes. This resolution both feels like it made the cut just because it's funny, and because mid-draft someone said, what if we want to make another one? It morphs the moral to being about growing up at the most convenient time possible, but there's still a cute, found family feeling to Timmy and Tootie's new business venture.
Call it wishful thinking.
It's a way to disguise ourselves as we drive around the world granting wishes for people who really need them. Plus, it keeps us together as a family. An extended family.
To me, Grow Up Timmy Turner is a hard sell for boldly proclaiming that this cheap and slightly out-of-character version of the Fairly Odd Parents is some sort of continuation. But it's a decently plotted adaptation.
Best day ever. Rocker has diarrhea.
By the way, the cast list in the opening includes Randy Jackson, and I was trying to figure out who he played until one of the last scenes hit me like a semi-truck.
Finally, his first words.
Yo, man, this gonna be so cool, man. We're gonna be bumping, man, trying to help the boys out. You know how we do it. You feel me, dog?
This is offensive to someone, but I'm not sure who. Premiering a year and a half later, Timmy's story continues as granting wishes for the less fortunate through wishful thinking has stepped on Santa's turf. This prompts the extended family to be confronted by a pair of elves, Dingle Dave and Christmas Carol, one of which is played by an actor with the perfect name. And they bring out Cosmo Wanda's racist side. The baby is racist also.
Lousy, stinking fairies. Dirty, rotten elves.
After traveling to the North Pole along with a stowaway Crocker, Timmy apologizes but accidentally uses fairy magic in an elf-made building, putting Santa out of commission and shutting down his workshop right before Christmas. Jorgen insists that Timmy must take over the role of the holiday icon he's injured, but must first embark on a dangerous journey to find Elmer the Elder Elf and get Turner's name off the naughty list. It takes like 25 minutes to get this setup out of the way, some of which recycles
What color should the
Chestnur's
background
very
be?
idle subplot, but this is easily my favorite entry in this trilogy. It's more isolated from
Maybe
the
a
first
hot
two,
pink?
with a weak plot device that solely exists just to remind viewers that
Oh,
Mom and
purple
Dad
would be
and Vicky
nice.
still exist in the third act. Guy Wood's score does include an instrumental of I Wish Every Day Could Be Christmas.
Oh, shit.
Even though the fairy magic trading dynamic
It's not that
from
bad.
episode isn't mentioned. Still, I give the crew credit for going all the way to capture the Christmas vibe with the playful design of Santa's workshop. And for
I don't think I've
daring
done
to film a
purple
budget
yet. I might have
scene
already done
on a
purple,
big
but it's too late now.
The North Pole does exist. Ready for the polar
Beyond the fairies, the visual effects are a slight downgrade. Whether it's Crocker's bad breath or these gingerbread men, they just become scarier if you read the credits.
And just to be safe, we will hide in Jimmy's pocket.
Hey, now they don't have to be animated. There are 7 main characters to account for, and I appreciate that everyone in the party does at least one thing to help Timmy during his mission. Cosmo and Wanda's relationship is a little less tense than in the predecessor, since they're too busy being racist. Crocker is the MVP. It's fun to see him try to be just one of the guys, like he had a redemption arc without putting in the work. Generally, I'd like his dialogue to be better, but he delivers my favorite moment in any of these live-action films.
You risked your life, all in the name of saving Christmas. Didn't see the likes of me wasting my time like that. You tried. You're okay, Turner.
A close second will be the Wishful Thinking song performed by Belle Monet in the credits. Feels like a Lost Chip Skylark song with how it taps into that Monkeys vibe. Above all else, I enjoy how the story challenges Timmy. The setting forces the protagonist to not use his fairies, even admitting that he's kind of useless without magic. This does something not a lot of sequels do by building off his arc and grow up Timmy Turner. He's no longer making selfish wishes, but isn't thinking of the consequences behind them, as illustrated in a few shots where someone got to flex their Photoshop skills. A Fairly Odd Christmas definitely benefits from
Alright, how's that look?
of this trilogy, but it deserves props for trying to do something new with its characters. Over the ending, Rachel Crow performs Santa Claus is coming to town, and to promote this flick, she sang her cover of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 2012. I bring this up because I was there. These are my photos. I was having the time of my life.
And she was my reference.
Premiering a year and a half later, again, the wishful thinking business has seemingly been retired off screen, as Timmy is now working a summer job in Fairy World's duck disposal business to impress Tootie. She's leaving for Hawaii along with the Turners, Jorgen, Vicky, Mr.
Pink.
Crocker, Boop, and
That's what I meant to do, add more
who all happen to be
pink.
taking a vacation to the same place at the same time. The first 2 films cover different genres, like romantic comedies and road trip adventures. This film's genre is beach.
It's just beach.
It's funny that despite the setting being the live-action crew's way of making up for filming in the freezing cold, 3 out of the 4 weeks of filming.
Yeah, I think it's good too.
And yes, you can sometimes tell they're on a tight
Alright.
schedule.
Bye.